The pressure is crushing, blackness surrounds you. Your lungs are on fire, every instinct screaming for air that isn't there. You're being dragged down, deeper and deeper into the abyss. You try to fight, but the force is relentless, pulling you into the cold, dark, crushing depths. This isn't a nightmare. For commercial diver Chris Lemons, this was terrifyingly real. And his fight for survival is one of the most incredible stories you will ever hear. It was September 2012. Chris Lemons and his team were working on a drilling structure nearly 100 meters below the surface of the North Sea. It was a routine job, something they'd done 100 times before. The divers were connected to a support vessel on the surface by what's called an umbilical cord. This cord is their lifeline, supplying everything they need to survive: breathing gas, heat, and communications. Everything was going smoothly until the ship's dynamic positioning system, the computer that holds the vessel perfectly in place against wind and currents, suddenly failed. An alarm blared across the ship. On the seafloor, Chris and his dive partner, Dave, were unaware of the chaos erupting above. The massive vessel began to drift uncontrollably, dragging the entire underwater structure with it. The umbilical cord, Chris's lifeline, was stretched taut, then snagged on a piece of the metal framework. With a horrifying snap, it severed. Instantly, Chris was plunged into absolute darkness and silence. His main air supply was gone. His heat was gone. His communications link to the surface was gone. All he had was the small emergency gas tank on his back, providing just 5 to 8 minutes of breathable air. He was alone, untethered, nearly 100 meters deep in the freezing, pitch-black North Sea. The odds of survival were 0. Above, his team was in a frantic race against time. They knew exactly what had happened. They knew he was running out of air. Standard procedure dictated they couldn't risk another diver's life on a rescue mission with virtually no chance of success. But this was their friend, their brother. Rules went out the window. They had to try. They deployed a remote-operated vehicle, an underwater drone, desperately scanning the dark seabed for any sign of Chris. Down below, Chris's emergency air was running out. 1 minute left, then 30 seconds. He took his last desperate breath from the tank and then, nothing. He passed out, his body floating lifelessly in the crushing pressure of the deep. For most people, this is where the story ends. But not for Chris. The rescue team in the ROV spotted him. It was a miracle. He was lying motionless on the seabed. By this point, he had been without oxygen for an incredible amount of time. Miraculously, his dive partner, Dave, reached him. It had been over 30 minutes since his umbilical was cut. Dave grabbed Chris, desperately trying to plug his own emergency air supply into Chris's helmet, hoping for a sign of life. He got nothing. Still, he refused to give up, dragging Chris's inert body back towards the diving bell. They hauled him to the surface. The medical team was prepared for the worst. No one could survive that long without oxygen. But as they got him into the chamber and took off his helmet, Chris took a breath, then another. Against all medical science, against all logic, he was alive. How did he survive? The doctors believed the extreme cold of the water and the high concentration of oxygen in his breathing gas before the accident put his body into a state of suspended animation, preserving his brain functions long after his air ran out. It was a 1 in a billion chance, a perfect storm of circumstances that allowed for the impossible. Chris Lemons walked away from an incident that should have been a certain grave, a true testament to the will to survive and the unbreakable bond of his team. His story is a chilling reminder of how fragile life can be and how sometimes miracles happen in the deepest, darkest places on Earth. Thanks for watching.